They say an army marches on its stomach. But let me flip that question for you this morning. Backhand index pointing right, what happens when that stomach is empty? Backhand index pointing right, what happens when the food trucks never arrive? Backhand index pointing right, when the fuel tankers are turned into fireballs? Backhand index pointing right, when the stolen cattle meant to feed fighters are reduced to ashes in the bush? Ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly what is happening right now in the forest of northwest Nigeria, and it is changing everything. You saw the headline. And no, this is not the usual chase and scatter operation anymore. This time, the Nigerian Air Force has switched tactics. They are no longer just hunting bandits. They are starving them out. And trust me, this strategy is brutal, deliberate, and deadly effective. This morning, we are receiving confirmed security reports of a massive, carefully planned air campaign that has completely shattered the supply lifelines of major bandit groups operating across Zamfara and Katsina states. Not just their camps. Not just their gunmen. But the very system that keeps them alive in the bush. Because here's the truth most people don't talk about. You cannot survive in the forest for months without food, fuel, medicine, spare parts, and safe storage points. Bandit groups don't just wake up and start shooting. They run full criminal economies in the forest, warehouses, animal stockpiles, fuel dumps, and motorcycle repair points. And that is what the Air Force has now placed directly in its crosshairs. So today, we are taking you deep into this new strategy that is turning the forest into a trap of hunger, panic, and desperation. We'll break down how military drones tracked secret supply hubs hidden under thick vegetation. How fighter jets moved in for precision strikes. And why this could finally be the pressure that collapses these criminal networks from the inside. But before we go further, do me a massive favor right now. Backhand index pointing right, smash that like button. It helps push this message to every Nigerian who needs to know that this fight is being taken seriously. And if you're not yet subscribed, this is the time. Turn on that notification bell, because this strategy is unfolding in real time, and we'll be tracking every major development. Now, let's get straight into what is really happening inside this forest. For years, Nigerians have been asking one simple question. How are these people surviving in the bush for so long? Who is feeding them? Who is supplying their motorcycles? Who is fueling their operations? Well, the Nigerian Air Force asked the same questions, and they didn't just ask. They went looking for answers from the sky. According to detailed security briefings released late last month and confirmed by the NAF spokesperson, Air Commodore Hyman Ejidem, the military launched a new phase of air interdiction missions focused purely on logistics destruction. Not random bombing. Not blind strikes. But intelligence-driven, surveillance-guided, surgical attacks on supply centers. One of the most devastating strikes happened in safe local government area of Zamfara state, around a notorious location known as the Sorry Bandit Enclave. Now listen to this part carefully, because this is where things get wild. Surveillance drones didn't just detect armed men. They detected huge clusters of livestock. Hundreds of rustled cows and sheep hidden on elevated terrain, camouflaged under forest cover. This was not accidental grazing. This was a deliberate food reserve. A forest meat bank designed to sustain fighters for months during dry season operations. Alongside the animals, intelligence also picked up structures used to store fuel drums, motorcycle spare parts, ammunition supplies, food items. In short, it was not just a camp. It was a full-blown survivor base. And once that confirmation came in, the order was given. Fighter jets were scrambled. Not for a single pass, but for multiple precision runs to ensure nothing usable remained behind. Missiles struck fuel storage points, and explosions followed. The livestock pens were destroyed, eliminating the food supply. Escape routes were monitored, and fighters attempting to flee were engaged. When the smoke cleared, what remained was not a camp, but ashes. And this, my people, was only the beginning. Because as December 2025 progressed, similar operations were launched across Kankara and other high-risk areas in Katsina State. One major hit was recorded around Zango Hill, another known logistics corridor. Same pattern. Same intelligence approach. Same outcome. And here is the logic behind it, simple but devastating. No fuel means no motorcycles. No motorcycles means no fast raids. No raids means no mass kidnappings. No food means no long-term survival. Once the movement stops, ground troops move in. Once ground troops move in, arrest or elimination follows. It becomes a deadly squeeze. Pressure from the air. Pressure from the land. Now, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, made something very clear in his end-of-year operational review on December 31, 2025. He revealed that the Nigerian Air Force conducted over 270 air interdiction missions in 2025, neutralizing thousands of terrorists and criminal fighters. But he also stressed something critical. The future of the fight is not just about killing fighters. It's about destroying their ability to survive. And that is where this logistics warfare comes in. Because once you remove their food, their fuel, and their hiding infrastructure, you don't just weaken them. You force them into mistakes. And we are already seeing the effect on the ground. Local security sources and community informants in part of Zamfara report that bandit groups are now becoming reckless and desperate. Some are splitting into smaller units. Others are taking huge risks by entering towns during daylight to look for food. And guess what happens when they do that? They walk straight into military ambushes and vigilante patrols. This is no longer hide and seek. It is now choke and collapse. But let's be honest with ourselves, this strategy also comes with serious risks. Because a hungry criminal is a dangerous criminal. When people are desperate, they do desperate things. And that is why the military has also issued warnings to local communities to stay alert. There are concerns that some fighters may try to steal food directly from farms, force villagers to carry supplies, extort food from markets. But here's the difference now, with constant drone surveillance, any large movement of supplies can be detected and targeted before it even reaches forest camps. This is why security experts are calling this phase of the operation the most disruptive strategy deployed so far in the Northwest. For years, these criminals operated like kings of the bush. With steady food, endless motorcycles, and free movement. But now, they are looking up at the sky every time they light a fire. Wondering if smoke will bring a missile. Wondering if today's meal will be their last. So let me ask you directly, and I really want your honest thoughts on this. Backhand index pointing right, do you think this starvation strategy will force quicker surrender and collapse of these groups? Backhand index pointing right, or do you fear it could trigger more reckless attacks on villages as they struggle to survive? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This conversation matters. But one thing is clear, this is no longer business as usual for the bandits. The battlefield has shifted. The pressure is tightening. And the forest is no longer safe. If this update gives you hope and you support this aggressive approach to ending banditry, hit that like button right now. Let's push this video far and wide so our pilots and troops know Nigerians are standing with them. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. We'll be tracking what happens next, whether this strategy breaks the networks completely or forces them into their final, desperate phase. Stay safe. Stay alert. And remember this. When you cut off the stomach of an army, the legs stop moving. The hands stop fighting. And defeat is only a matter of time. The days of unchecked banditry are being numbered, one airstrike at a time. Nigeria fire.